We're kicking off today with Smackdown, which moved to 3 hours at the start of this year, but not everyone is pleased with having more blue brand content. Some fans believe there has been a decline in quality to the show, despite having more time for superstars, and this feeling isn't isolated to just the fan base. While speaking on the hump, Sean Ross Sapp was asked whether there had been any talk within WWE about Smackdown, and said a lot of people have brought up a perceived decline. The feeling is that Smackdown hasn't been up to par as of late, with questions about why more talent isn't being used, especially given the third hour. This report comes after Road Dogg Jesse James was made co-head writer of Smackdown, marking his return to the show's creative after his previous run lasted from 2019 to 2016. This return has gotten off to a shaky start, as after the Rock segment where he demanded Cody Rhodes' soul, fans took to social media calling for James to be cut from creative. As WrestleMania 41 approaches, it remains to be seen what changes, if any, WWE make to SmackDown, as there's no shortage of people who feel the show just isn't hitting right. But what do you think? Have you noticed issues with SmackDown, or has the show continued to deliver in your eyes? Let us know down in the comments section. In 2024, Baron Corbin's time with WWE came to an end, shocking fans given that the Lone Wolf had once been one of the most featured names on programming. The former Money in the Bank holder and US champion is now seeking to re-establish himself as Bishop Dyer, but this week made a startling confession about his release. Speaking to Ariel Helwani in a new interview, Corbin said that he doesn't know why his WWE career went south, and that one person was responsible for his fall from grace. Corbin didn't name the person and actually said he enjoyed working with them, but admitted that a lot of people have ulterior motives in this world, and they'll be fake to your face. Corbin said that the person who tried to sabotage his career has a good amount of power, and the ex-superstar went on to say that he gave this person the benefit of the doubt too often. Now free of his non-compete clause, Bishop Dyer is ready to take the wrestling world by storm after having his WWE run destroyed from within, even as the saboteur remains a mystery. On this week's NXT, Stephanie Vaquer defended the NXT Women's title and the NXT Women's North American title, and WWE made a big deal about her victory. WWE acknowledged Vaquer as the first female double champion in the history of NXT, a comment that has caught the ire of former superstar Mandy Rose. On Twitter, a fan tried to argue that Rose was NXT's first female double champion, and the ex-superstar said it was pretty pathetic on WWE's part to try and erase her from history. For context, Rose was victorious at WWE Worlds Collide in 2022 that saw the NXT and NXT UK Women's Championships be unified as WWE closed down the NXT UK brand. That match saw NXT UK champion Meiko Satomura face Rose, but the debate is whether this title unification match meant Rose actually won the NXT UK Women's Gold. On WWE.com, that isn't the case, as the record shows Satomura being the final champion and her reign ending on September 4th, 2022, the day of the Worlds Collide event. If this was a title-for-title match, then Rhodes would certainly be recognized as a double champion, but given the unification stipulation, WWE doesn't see her win as the start of a new reign. But what do you think? Should Mandy Rose be recognized as NXT's first female double champion, or is she making an issue out of nothing? Let us know your thoughts down below. Now, yesterday we reported on Saraya, who on Twitter posted some lyrics from her WWE theme song, leaving some to speculate that she's planning on a return. Of course, returning to WWE would require leaving AEW first, and now Saraya has confirmed that her time with the All Elite promotion has come to an end. This week, Saraya debuted her brand new podcast Rule Breakers and shared that her time with AEW has come to an end, adding that there's no bad blood between us. Saraya had a magical time with AEW, but explained that her reason to leave stemmed from fearing that she being around was holding another woman down. She said, "I got to thinking, what is there left for me to do in wrestling right now? Right now, there's really no storylines where I would fit in. It's just me thinking that I don't fit in right now. I feel like I might be taking someone else's spot, someone who could be doing something really special." Saraya added that her exit doesn't mean she'll never come back to AEW, but for now is taking a little step back from wrestling to focus on herself and put her energy into the podcast. Saraya wrapped up by thanking AEW, the fans, and the fucking awesome Tony Khan, and encouraged the women of AEW to keep in touch with her now that she's gone. Addressing things further on Busted Open Radio, Saraya said she'd decided in September 2024 that she was not going to re-sign and never intended to be a top name in the company. Instead, she reiterated that she wanted to help build up other women, though wishes she could have done one more thing with Mercedes Moné, but Moné's storylines got in the way. Saraya's final match for AEW came on the October 8th, 2024 episode of Dynamite, where she was on the losing end of a four-way won by Willow Nightingale. While Saraya isn't planning on making any moves in wrestling at this time, she will return to the industry eventually, and it remains to be seen where she'll go. Are you sad to see Saraya leave AEW? Would you like to see the return of Paige to WWE? Share your thoughts on her All Elite exit down in the comments. It was during the March 17th Raw in Brussels, Belgium that John Cena cemented his heel turn with a scathing promo against the fans, including one young fan in particular. That young fan instantly went viral and was referenced by Cena during this week's Raw in Glasgow, Scotland, but now the fan has responded to the WWE icon. In an interview, the fan, whose name remains unknown at this time, shared that despite Cena's comments, he can't turn his back on the 16-time WWE World Champion. John Cena pointed his finger at me and I was honored. I didn't know he was gonna shit on me, but I understood he was in character. To me, John Cena will always be a hero. After lashing out at the fans in Brussels and Glasgow, Cena will be a part of next week's Raw in London, where he'll again come face-to-face with Cody Rhodes. And as for this fan, he'll be among the millions watching WWE's new top heel, though not even being personally insulted by John can stop this member of the Chain Gang. Over to AEW Dynamite as MJF hit the ring to answer MVP's invitation to join the Hurt Syndicate and told MVP that he wants to be in the business of hurting people. This drew out Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, and when the Almighty went face-to-face with the Salt of the Earth, he demanded the business card and tore it up. MJF left the ring in time for Brian Keith and Big Bill to interrupt and issue a challenge for the tag titles, but MVP told them to win a match before they asked for a title shot. Having Lashley tear up the card that MVP gave MJF shows that MVP is not on the same page as his allies and that MVP is not Hurt Syndicate approved at this time. With a prospective tag title match thrown into the mix in this segment, this was an effective way to maximize minutes and accomplish three things at once. Do you still want to see MJF join the Hurt Syndicate eventually? Or is the idea of a feud with Bobby Lashley far more appealing? Let us know down in the comments. Kenny Omega kicked off this week's show with an international title match against Blake Christian, who was accompanied to the ring by Lee Johnson. This was little more than a squash, with Omega running through Christian, fending off interference from Johnson, and pinning his opponent after the one-winged angel. Omega began a promo that was interrupted in short order by his opponents at Dynasty, those being Ricochet, who appeared via satellite, and Speedball Mike Bailey. After hearing both out, Omega vowed to win when they collide in Philadelphia, and closed out the segment with a stare-down with Bailey. This was an interesting way to start the show, but didn't do too much to further the triple threat storyline for the AEW International Championship. While the match will be great given the talent involved, this segment saw little progress despite the red-hot crowd in St. Paul this week. If you're wondering why Ricochet wasn't present, he explained on Dynamite that it fell on the same day as his wedding day, and he was dressed to the nines in a white suit. Ricochet explained that he was dressed for the best day of his life before claiming that Dynasty will soon be the best day of his life when he becomes international champion. Ricochet and Samantha Irvin confirmed their relationship in 2021 and would get engaged in January 2023, while both were still under contract with WWE. While Irvin left WWE last year, she has said she'll be back in wrestling at some point, and we at Slat Rock would like to congratulate the couple on their marriage. Swerve Strickland confronted Jon Moxley ahead of their AEW World Championship match at Dynasty, making it clear that Moxley's usual mind games wouldn't work on him. The number one contender proved to be one step ahead as he countered Claudio Castagnoli's presence at ringside and thwarted Marina Shafir's attempted sneak attack. As for Moxley, he ranted about social media and talent agencies, while Strickland vowed to take the title in Philadelphia on April 6th. There was an interesting line from Strickland as he told the champ, "Have fun continuing to play Jon Moxley on TV," which was actually a nod to Moxley's WWE days. During a segment with John Cena from 2016, the then Dean Ambrose told Cena to have fun being the guy that plays John Cena on TV, and this week's Dynamite was a callback. The Death Riders have dominated AEW for 6 months, and positioning Strickland as the cunning challenger who can outmaneuver Moxley's usual talents is a nice touch. Do you think Dynasty will see a new champion crowned, or will Jon Moxley have yet another trick up his sleeve? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments section. Megan Bayne will challenge AEW Women's World Champion Timeless Toni Storm at Dynasty, but at Dynamite, she sent a clear message to the champ with a tag team match victory. Bayne and Penelope Ford defeated Storm and Thunder Rosa, and the number one contender overwhelmed her opponents and was unfazed by Storm's offense. Bayne ultimately put Storm down and secured the pin, looking dominant in the process and the biggest win to date for the relative newcomer. Having the women headline is always welcome, even if the crowd struggled to get invested beyond Storm's usual antics in the ring. AEW could do with developing Bayne, perhaps with a sit-down interview or pre-taped vignette, to give fans a reason to be more invested in the dominant challenger. Nevertheless, the right team won in the main event, which is a win in itself, and Bayne continues to be positioned as a major threat to Storm's reign, despite her limited time with the company. At the Royal Rumble, Jey Uso and Charlotte Flair won the men's and women's matches respectively in two of the most controversial winners of all time. For Jey, many questioned the decision to have him beat the likes of John Cena and CM Punk, while fans believe Charlotte didn't need the win to re-enter the title picture. Nevertheless, the pair will soon compete for titles at WrestleMania, but this year's event could see a 7-year streak be broken in the process. With the Cody Rhodes vs. John Cena match and Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins in a triple threat match, neither Jey or Charlotte are expected to headline WrestleMania 41. If so, then it'll be the first time since 2018 that neither Royal Rumble winner has headlined either night of the show, as Asuka and Shinsuke Nakamura didn't have main events after their wins. Of course, until both nights of WrestleMania, nothing can be guaranteed, and time will tell where these title matches land and if a 7-year streak is about to be broken. Over to WWE Evolve now, as it was during the show's debut that Shawn Michaels gave Ava free reign over the show, but now WWE's newest brand has a new authority figure. During the latest episode, Stevie Turner was appointed as the official GM of Evolve and also serves as the assistant to Ava in her roles as NXT General Manager. Time will tell how Turner fares in her role as the Evolve General Manager, but fans can expect to see a lot more of her on the show that airs on Tubi. On this week's Raw, John Cena vowed to erase Ric Flair by becoming a 17-time world champion, but that will prove easier said than done if the Nature Boy has his way. Speaking to TMZ this week, Flair addressed Cena's comments from the OVO Hydro in Glasgow and doubted John or anyone will erase him or his legacy. He said, "I'm just glad I'm alive after the life I've led to even hear it. But I've got news for John. They've been trying to get rid of the Woo for 50 years. The Woo ain't going away, neither is Ric Flair, and the odds of him winning the 17th title are astronomical." Not only did Flair cast doubt on Cena's plans, but he added that he'll be attending WrestleMania 41 and seemed excited about his upcoming trip to Las Vegas. For 8 years, Cena and Flair have been tied at 16 wins each, and will Rick take steps during WrestleMania to stop John from breaking the record? Only time will tell. Back to Dynamite, and a frustrated Chris Jericho told Big Bill and Brian Keith to impress him or else before issuing a challenge to Bandito. Jericho demanded a mask for title match, vowing to put his ROH World Championship on the line, and we'll have to see if Bandito answers the challenge. For the first time since his epic clash with Will Ospreay at Revolution, Kyle Fletcher returned to the ring to battle the Hounds of Hell's Brody King. This was physical from the start, with Fletcher even delivering a tombstone piledriver at one point, though he failed to keep King down for 3. King fought back and set up for a corner cannonball, but Fletcher's former Aussie Open partner Mark Davis pulled him out of the way, causing King to crash into the corner. Fletcher capitalized to get the win, regaining some momentum from his loss to Ospreay, and he and Davis began a 2-on-1 beatdown after the match, cut short by Powerhouse Hobbs. Eagle-eyed fans may have spotted former NXT superstar Von Wagner among the security on the scene, and this was the best match of the night. King has shown to be reliable in singles action away from the Hounds of Hell, and while he lost to the rising star of Fletcher, it'll be easy for him to bounce back. In an impromptu match, Hobbs steamrolled Davis to get the win in an interesting decision given that Davis had a breakout singles performance just last week. Davis proved himself in the AEW International title qualifier, but he was served up to Hobbs without much resistance during this week's show. Mark Briscoe battled against Konosuke Takeshita on Dynamite, and after finding himself on the defensive, Takeshita powered through to get the win. This was a solid competitive match that refocused Takeshita and gave him a quality victory as he looks to bounce back from his Revolution loss to Kenny Omega. Briscoe once again proved to be one of AEW's most underappreciated talents, consistently delivering strong performances against a variety of opponents. Darius and Dante Martin made quick work of Alex Findlay and Devo Knight, building momentum ahead of their match this Saturday on Collision against Big Bill and Brian Keith. Nick Wayne mocked Christian Cage for failing to win the AEW World Championship, then walked off with Mother Wayne, leaving Kip Sabian to absorb his words. In a pre-taped interview, Tony Schiavone sat down with Rated FTR, and Dax Harwood blamed his recent walkout on putting FTR's goals aside to help cope, only to see the legend fail. After some back and forth, the three agreed to challenge the Death Riders for the AEW Trios titles at Dynasty next month. And that was this week's Dynamite, and what did you make of the show? Let us know down in the comments section below. Now, Britt Baker hasn't appeared for AEW since November of last year, and recently the former Women's World Champion made a major change online. On both her Instagram and Twitter pages, Baker removed all references to AEW on her profiles, raising questions among fans that her time with the company has ended. However, Fightful Select has since clarified that Baker is still under contract with the company, and her deal is not set to expire anytime soon. Baker was once the top woman in AEW, but that was a long time ago, and to put it into perspective, she's wrestled just 5 times for AEW over the past 12 months. And we're ending with more from WWE Evolve, as this week's show saw the surprising return of Timothy Thatcher, who lost to up-and-coming star Shawn Legacy. This marked Thatcher's first WWE match since August 2021, and while he was released in early 2022, he was brought back to the company as a trainer last November. It's unclear if we'll see more from Thatcher after this surprising in-ring return, but WWE has another name they can rely on to deliver in the ring.